Welcome along to Crunching Gears, Season 1, Episode 11, Part 2. This episode, we speak again to James Cullen. James tells us about his career from 89 onwards. Those two exciting Donegal Rally wins, his one in the Cork 20, and much more besides. I'd just like to take a moment to thank you all for all your kind comments regarding our previous interview, and delighted you enjoyed it.
And there is a new leader, James Cullen.
Quite excited. It's quite a new thing, you know, and it's nice to be up there for a change, isn't it?
Well, now, of course, the other news is that Billy Coleman is in a perfectly healthy Metro and absolutely charging back up the field, albeit maybe 4 or 5 minutes behind. Can you deal with that sort of pressure?
Depends on how sort of pace we set this evening. We're meaning to try and finish the event now, and like second will be a good result for us, even behind Coleman, but you never know.
It's indeed happiness in the hills for Mark and Terry Harriman, and Ford's third tarmac win in a row, but it's not been easy.
It's been one of the hardest rallies that I've ever had to do. It's fantastic, the road's very fast. Thankfully it stayed dry, so that was a bit of a help for us, really.
And what about the Donegal stages? Did you enjoy them?
Yeah, incredible, really fantastic. I mean, they must be the fastest tarmac stages in the world, I would think. I've never driven on roads so fast, and that really is a big challenge for us, so it was a real experience, and I'm really chuffed to come out with a win.
Well, you've got a win first time out, but that's not a new experience for you, Terry. Third time victory in Donegal, I believe.
Yes, Donegal's been very... I've always liked Donegal, and it seems to like me. It's the third win. 7 outings, 3 wins in 2 seconds.
It's not a bad record.
Yeah.
How does this one compare with the other 2 victories?
Just as good. Just as good. Maybe more satisfying at my time of life.
And the champagne's going to taste just as sweet?
Better.
The professionals have won the day, and the vast crowds in Letterkenny have 2 heroes. If is a big word in rallying, but if the Friday hold-ups had not occurred, anyway, James is pleased to be home.
It's really super coming back into one's own hometown and seeing all these people here rooting for you, you know, and it's made a big difference all weekend, especially after the first day. It was a bit disappointing. And,
do you notice things like that whenever you're on the stages? I mean, can you hear the people cheering you on?
Today you could hear them and you could see them coming out and the hands up, and it was really, it just helps motivate you, of course, like, but it's been a good rally, and it's been really well organised, and it's just typical Donegal Rally, the best.
Well, James, pinch yourself. You're the winner of the Donegal International Rally.
Yes, it's still a bit hard to believe, but I think it's just difficult at times there to keep back the tears coming up the road, all the emotion coming out, all the tension this last few days. We've tried so hard this time, we came so close so often, and it's just great to get there in the end of.
You've been so much part of this rally. You've been clerk of the course, you've won your class in it before. Do you ever dream this moment would come?
I think everyone involved here dreams of something like that. Like, this is my hometown, home county. I've ran the rally, I've been involved with the motor club for 10 years now, and I think to come now, that puts the icing on the cake.
And Ellen, you know the sacrifice this man has made for rallying. At this moment, I can see the tears welling there a little bit.
I think James has said it all, really. There's so many people who've helped to get us here today, and I think this win is as much for them as it is for us. James has tried so hard over the years, and there's been a lot of if-onlys. We've nearly won it 2 or 3 times. To actually do it at last is absolutely super.
Give him a big handshake there. Absolutely fabulous.
A brilliant end to a season that's brought so much.
I think it's always nice to win, but to come first overall, not just in the class, the whole thing, I think is absolutely wonderful. Tremendous.
So just recount again the trophies that you've got this year.
Well, we've won the overall Group N championship and the Dunlop Tarmac series, and we've also come 2nd overall in the championship, I believe, as runner-up. And here we've come 1st overall and 1st in Group N, so a few pots to go home with, I think.
Good smile about that one.
The old B seating in Isle of Man, which we missed out on for a couple of years, and we eventually got it this year as well, so we're really pleased with that.
Well, a high to end the year on, but what of next year?
That's a $64 question, as I say. Hopefully all the association will continue, but it's too early to say what will happen yet.
Popular wins don't come any more popular than this one. James Cullen has fulfilled his dream of becoming the first Donegal driver to win the Shell Donegal International Rally twice. Ellen Morgan has helped him every inch of the way. beautiful example of history repeating. James has had to wait 8 years for those magic Letterkenny moments to rematerialise.
You know, we came here, we knew we could be on the hunt, we felt ourselves we could be on the pace we have been in the past, and but after Friday I definitely thought we lost it, we dropped the ball, you know. But the pace was such, you just never know, everyone's going so quick, everyone's gambling, everybody's going flat out, like absolutely brilliant to watch and fantastic to be involved in.
Donegal never needs an excuse for a party, but there's going to be some party tonight.
You could be sure of that.
And then 89, sorry, we call him Roger Clark Motorsport. Or no, sorry, not Roger Clark. David Sutton Motorsport.
David Sutton was 80.
Yes.
That was what were 80?
That was 89. Yeah, 89. Yeah.
Aye.
Come along.
I think George had bought a Manta at that stage. I think we done Galway in a Manta that year.
Yes, right. Yeah, you're right. Yes.
And I'd overheated going to the first stage or going to the second stage. I can't remember.
Right.
But
yes.
That was that. And then came about through Shell and David Sutton. David Thomas was the Shell Motorsport guy, like who worked along with Jimmy McRae and Lovell and put all those packages together. We were involved at the British Grand Prix with Ayrton Senna and with Joey Dunlop. And he was the guy who made Donegal what it was for those years. To a point, like, because he brought the stars to Donegal. Shell paid for them.
Right.
So they brought the Lovells, the Llewellyns, the Fishers, and the McRaes.
Yes.
And they brought, remember the Audis and
oh yes, that's right.
the GpN Audi, but they brought Lovell and they brought Llewellyn, and obviously they were big time backers of Bertie Fisher at that time and all that sort of thing.
Yes.
And then we got onto that, and like we used to get a few wee bits off them. But they were that David was that pissed off with what happened in Donegal the previous year. He says, right, I'll put up a car for you for Donegal the following year.
Right.
And he did. And we got the Sutton car. I think it was one of our Hydra cars or something like that. It was a kind of a heavy gravel car. That was the way, and it was a gravel engine was in it.
Right.
But it was free.
Oh yeah, you weren't going to turn your nose up.
Oh, we weren't going to turn your nose up at that, like, you know. But then, so that was. Then we created a right good drama that year as well. So we were doing a shakedown on the Wednesday, and John Bevan was the guy who went on to be one of the main engineers with Hyundai when they came in after that with their first World Rally cars.
Okay, yeah.
He was sitting in, and we were up doing a bit of a shakedown and so on. Then all done, everything grand. Tires are getting well knackered, so that's it. He says, just back now to the start again, and we'll do this, and we'll get packed up and we'll go. So of course on the way back we're coming sailing, not paying enough attention, didn't we? Slide the thing off on the way back.
Oh, crazy. And
it spun on top of that, like a hedge. Not a hedge, like there was a couple of fence posts, but there were no great harm done, and it was kind of slow enough speed.
Yes.
But it sat there, and it sat, and it sat. Are we all right? And then it just fell over and it sailed and rolled into the field.
Oh, Christ.
And it was in Rothman's colours at the time, if you remember. So, and this is before the sticker boys. Yes. Everything was painted.
So
it was all hands on deck in for all body panels to come out of Daventry. They were put on a jeep and they were sent to Donegal and down to Jerry Lynch's, and the boys worked all night and had her fixed for scrutiny the next day.
Right.
So there's always a bit of a drama sometimes.
No, you don't make it easy on yourself.
I'm not going to doing this thing simple, is it? But I think we end up third.
And that was the year
one in the Toyota, and I think was Bertie second.
You second.
Can't remember. We end up third anyway. So, and was that a lucky third too? I think.
Yeah.
That was the year Vincent stopped.
That's
Vincent
right.
Stopped, wasn't
it? I think he stopped late on, didn't he?
He stopped late on Sunday with a distributor or something like that.
That was the following year that they were having the big battle of Bertie and Austin, and Vincent was actually leading a good bit at the time.
That was my first rally in the pink car.
Yeah.
Donegal.
Yeah. That was 1990.
That was
what
90.
a rally.
Aye.
Yeah.
We were blew the turbo in the first stage.
I lost 3 minutes or something.
Which wasn't so bad. No, the next stage then when the boys put on the turbo and at the airlock.
Right.
So the next stage was that big stage way over Big Lenties, big long stage too.
Right.
And we had to keep switching her off and letting her free wheel and everything to get it. Anyway,
right.
Dropped 3 minutes, which would be left there, and from stage 3 to stage 16 we were quickest.
Right.
On every stage.
Uh-huh.
I took 11 out of everybody in Knockalla. I only remember that because I watched the video about a year ago. I know that RPM thing, and it comes back on again. So
yeah.
As soon as we took 11 seconds out of everybody. But anyway, I remember that. I remember we were quickest in it for 13 stages in a row, which we're going nowhere. We're back up on the fourth, but
still, like Austin, Bertie, and Vincent were at it hammer and tongs.
So we're like sort of
7 or 8 seconds. I think it was 8 seconds covered them for like 2 days.
Leading by 5 seconds, I think, something like that, halfway through Saturday or something like that. We were doing the times, and we should have been in, and it was just a shame not to be in the mix.
Yes.
Not to be in the battle because it was some battle. And sure, remember to this day then about the road penalties and the.
That's right. Yeah,
the whole thing that happened, and we were just onlookers, we were just taking up, we were just a rear guard to the whole thing, so.
But it must have been amazing to be. As you say, 4 cars in that mix would have been something else, wasn't it?
Particularly when you're one of them, you just feel a bit, but that's the way it is.
It was such a fantastic event, and will be one of them that will always be looked back in years to come.
But they're some of the. We would see them as the great Donegals probably because we were there. Maybe.
Well, maybe that's it too.
That's the way you think and all, but it was a great era.
Yeah, absolutely. And then '91, the sun god shone on that year.
We broke the duck. Yes, we broke the duck, which was when you think go back to the very start and going to do Donegal for the first time, and being COC, being
Marshall,
everything about your home rally, and then actually eventually won it.
Yes.
That something didn't always happen. So you didn't want it, but I think we had a few dramas that year too, didn't we? But then Bertie went on. Bertie done his fanning job then eventually.
That's right. Yes.
But I was great for you. I think it was 4 seconds and going on to fan it then.
Because you were having some battle that year too.
It was a great oil battle for it, and it's just a shame it didn't go on for longer,
Yes, I think that must have made Sunday difficult too. You had 2 minutes or 3 minutes going into Sunday. You're about to hear every crack and bang in the car.
Of course you do, because we were just expecting, because that was our farm up to that something would go wrong. Someone always did, kind of nearly went wrong, I remember coming to the end of High Glen, Derry Laggy. High Glen, Derry Laggy was the last stage.
Right.
That big fast finish, we came in there at the viaduct in Creasy, and it was an amazing feeling, and coming back to the Mount Errigal again, and actually having won the rally.
I think that thing that you've been going to for basically all your life, and the champagne and the music, the pipe band playing for you, leading you over the ramp. It's pretty special.
We we weren't at the races 84, 85 because the car wouldn't have been there, but 86 we actually led the rally. But you're never going to beat a Metro, but
no.
The years 88 with Lovell and the other things, and then what happened we won it, but sure, and we're only the second, obviously, Donegal person to do it, along with Vincent and that. Then sure, that was it. Great.
Yeah, I think we've got there actually. I meant to mention was the Manx in 1990. Bertie was having his day in the sun too, and unfortunately, it come to a cropper. But yourself and this young upstart Scottish guy, Colin McRae, were having some battle that weekend too.
I think it's one of the fastest rallies and probably one of the best ones that I've ever done.
Right.
I regard it the same as Donegal. To this day, I've said it to different people. I've never seen marks on the road like it.
No.
For skid marks, brake marks, and it was like hell for leather for the 4 days, and it all. Everybody had handlings. Colin went off. We got a puncture. Verdi had his famous incidents, and Brooks didn't make a mistake, and he won the rally.
He just was the one that kept his nose clean.
And he got away with that handling. Then it was in at the start of Little London after Verdi had the puncture, where he had to go up in the curb, when he missed the van. And then there was stewards meetings, everything, and a whole handling that night too. Brooks wouldn't start the stage to make sure if Verdi got road penalties or not.
Right.
And he was instructed a couple of times to start, and of course we were behind him, so we couldn't start the stage.
Yes. And
they waited, and once he seen Verdi's car appeared, and he went in. And then that's up that wee narrow bit, Little Londons were,
yes,
all the stress and pressure. Then Verdi napped the wheel and got the puncture, and Brooks won the rally, like, you know.
It was such, like Bertie for many years had tried to win the Manx, and he was dominating that weekend. Really,
that was his weekends, like, and it was a real good battle, like, because I remember going back with Rory and chatting about it. I think we all kind of shared everybody had a kind of nearly equal share of the fastest times. The person who didn't make a mistake won the rally. Like we had all 10 or 12 or whatever it was fastest times each.
Okay.
Like you could have been fastest or second fastest or fourth fastest.
And maybe only 2 or 3 seconds separate.
Like a real cracker event, and doing it at night. The night stages.
Yes.
No, I really I loved it now.
And like say, McRae was in his infancy at that stage.
McRae was on, like, he was just the big problem was that year. Colin had to get a B seeding out of the Manx. He had to finish third.
Right.
Because he had got the deal for Rally GB for the 4-wheel drive car.
Yes. And this was getting higher up the field, and yes.
And so he had to have a seeding for Rally GB, so it was seriously important. He got on, and then of course he did a Colin, he went off, and he had a puller somewhere else. And, we got a puncture somewhere, and kind of messed up with it. We could have went a lot quicker on it, but we nursed it way too, just being a privateer, afraid of someone else happening.
Breaking something else or whatever.
Breaking someone else and all that sort of thing. And then 3 stages from the end, then we nearly had him, and the prop shaft went. We just cruised her to the finish like nobody. But it was just a hell of a battle, like hell of a battle. And Colin remembered it and mentioned it afterwards, and and down the years you'd always come over and have a chat with you, and there was that respect thing again. And,
that kind of respect.
After all the years, you don't take much out of it, but that's probably your best memory is having respect of the guys who were your heroes, your competitors. Like
for a guy for somebody like Colin that went on to achieve so much, to still hold that weekend in such high regard, that means a lot.
And so we followed, we followed his career then for the rest of, for so on. And funny enough, I was the year he won the World Championship in Rally GB, where it was down at the racecourse. What the racecourse was?
Bath?
I forget now anyway.
Yes.
And he did all the donuts and stuff. I was doing gravel notes for somebody that year it was a Michelin plate, but it was for Vauxhall,
Okay, right, yes.
And we were lucky enough then to be in, myself and Ian Grunrod was with me. We were in the stand.
Oh, right, yes.
And in the spectator stand at the finish and all that, and just to be there, to be part of that, just to be there in the stand and see it all happen,
because it's iconic now every time you see it.
I know this boy,
being him wrist there. So then in the early 90s, was sort of around about 93, you went Group N. I suppose like the top Group A cars now were getting into silly money at this stage. So you reverted back to Group N, and the first year you had a very successful year. Like Group N, they were a hard car to drive because they were so unreliable, but you were on the podium a good few times throughout the year. And Cork 20 then.
They were a fragile enough car, obviously, because they were Group N,
Yes.
And that came about through David Thomas as well.
Right.
I had bought a Sierra Cosworth, I think, and we're trying to buy Alistair McRae's car of David. We had a couple of meetings at Manchester Airport, blah blah blah, and it didn't work out anyway. So I thought that's that's it again. And then they started that Shell scholarship thing at that time.
Yes.
With Martin Rowe, wasn't it? Or Martin Rowe, the first year, I think.
I think so.
And then Gundaf came with the Vecta car. Remember the black one?
Oh yeah.
They had a big sponsors from that, and there was money from Ford and SPG were building and running his car.
That's right. Yeah.
So then Dave Thomas rang me up and he says, "Can you come up? I'm going such a place on next whatever day it was. Can you meet me at Manchester Airport at between 10 and 12 and Tuesday, whatever it was?" So, yeah, no problem. We might be able to do something. So, long story short, again, he says, "Can you get your hands? Could you manage to buy an Escort Cosworth?" He says, "If you do, we'll build her and we'll come on board." And at that stage, we were down the road a bit with Buckler for the first time.
Okay, yes.
So they were putting some money in, and we were bringing them on board. But on their own, it was going to be no good. It was going to be that, we were trying to sell them a championship, but we probably could only do 2 rallies. Anyway, I got the car of Phil Collins. Never saw the car. Brand new white RS Cosworth at the time. So that went to SPG. And we just got it, but it was just ready in time for the Circuit of Ireland. So it was the debut in Ireland of the RS, even though it was Group N, but still the RS Cosworth was debuted, and we finished 3rd in the circuit. And,
yes.
Shell ran that, SPG ran that car that year, and that was a proper. We had our own, with a couple of our own guys involved. We had a team manager, we had a coordinator on the rally, we had a gravel crew, we had proper, and we had the money.
Yes.
And so we did all the rallies, and every rally from the circuit, and 3rd in the circuit.
Second in Killarney.
Second in Killarney, we broke 2 gearboxes. 3rd in Donegal, 6th in the Manx.
And that won Group N as well.
Won Group N, beat Gunda for Group N, and got the B seeding. And then the last one then was Cork, and Cork with the championship won.
Yes.
And so we still had Cork to do, so we were let off the leash completely, and it was a real bad, slippy weekend as Cork can be. So it suited the car a wee bit better, like it wasn't as sore in the car, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
We won that, so that was a big thing, and we're only the 3rd. I was only the 2nd person in the world into one rally and a Group N car. And the 3rd one was only there a number of years ago, actually. That guy, Alexei Lukanuk.
Oh right, yes.
The mad Russian guy.
Yes.
Was doing the European Championship. He won a European round and
Group N car
and an Evo 10 Group N car.
Yes.
So there's one of the Ericssons on the Ivory Coast on a Group N car. 1 year was World Championship for manufacturers or something.
Right. Yes.
No, the drivers turned up.
Okay.
So he ended up winning it. That was a Group N Mazda. My one. And
yes.
Alexi, that's the 3. That's the 3 we know of now. I know of. Anyway.
Yes, that's amazing. Isn't it? I think it was still a decent entry for it. Liam McCallaghan was there. And
Frank Maher, that was Frank in a Group A car, and
yes.
that's Frank down there now. Who took a lot of
he was
took a lot of beating.
It
wasn't like if you beat him, you were beating most people. So
yes,
it didn't really matter who turned up. Like if he was there.
So you defended the Group N title the following year, but like it was probably there was more Group A cars and they were getting faster. Like you were still getting the Group N ones, but the overall results probably weren't as good.
That year, funny, Buckler came and got more involved that year, and the cars' colours were changed to blue and yellow and all their colours and everything, and we got off to a real bad start, like, and it was just a bit of a disaster a year. First couple of rallies, and then it was just a matter of cruising around to make sure we won the title at the end up. Like we couldn't not win it, but
yes,
we went to Galway and we changed people. There's somebody else looking after the car from the previous year, and we're no shakedown or anything like that. The first stage was first mile or so. It was brutally fast, like, but it was very wet. So we had the idea, this is suit this car, we're going to have a bit of a crack at this, and from the flag drop we were at it.
Yes.
But what happened was they changed, put a different type of pad in the back of it.
Right.
And we only had it out the road bed, and it didn't like it with no driving on it. So first time I braked after about 3/4 of a mile, and we were wild fast into a kind of a medium corner. It's just like pulling on the handbrake.
Right.
Ah, Jesus, just like pulling on the handbrake.
Oh.
Different. Discovered afterwards that they put a different type of pad to what I was used with on the back of it. It wasn't bad. It just bit. So you were pulling on the handbrake. So long story short, we had a big spin, and we just clipped one of those Galway walls with obviously with a rack, and they just nipped the thing, and then one of the guys actually ran in from the start of the stage and put a track control arm on. Or whatever was needed at that time to get us going again, but sure, that stage was
time was gone.
And then we went to the circuit, and we were light about 8th or something coming out of the north. We landed down in Sligo and it started to snow. We come out of Dungannon and it started to snow that year while back in the middle of the night, 4 o'clock.
That's right, yes.
Aye. So we were second quickest in every stage. We were actually quickest as we thought, but there was a guy running back in a Corolla. When the stages started to thaw out, there was 2 tracks of them, and he actually was quickest in a couple of stages.
Okay, right, yes.
But anyway, long story short, we were second going into the Paltry Mountains. Started to dry up, and we were racing with Frank and John Price in the Metro. A couple of stages in there in the dry, and the times are okay, so we thought, okay, we're happy enough with this. We just we can do that. We can do the times. We can do it on the good tarmac as well, so we're happy enough. And it was. We had Brian Patterson's notes because we weren't allowed to recce that year as well. Bike delay at the start of the stage. I was sleeping. 20-minute delay or someone woke up on the way into the stage, come up, and there's 1 or 2 of Brian's terms are the same as mine.
Okay.
Same wording, but they mean different things.
Oh, right, yes.
So I come up to this crest and I heard it was okay, right. I don't know what it was. I know you're over the crest, and it was like a hairpin right or something like that.
Okay, you were doing your
on the road, slid up on top of the hedge. No drive, no spectators, no nothing. So that was the first 2 rallies, no score.
Yes.
So we had to go to Killarney then, and we were running number 1 in Killarney behind Bertie, and we had to cruise the thing up, and Bertie passed it up the gap and all that stuff. But anyway, we got around. Donegal, we got a new anti-lag thing, and from Munchen for Group N cars and all that at the time was new. And sure, the thing stopped about 15 times over the rally. And anyway, long story short, we got enough fun away to win the Group N championship.
But just
so I kept her happy anyway. So.
Yes. But then you built her up to Group A then for the following season.
Aye, the following season then we decided we'd go Group A. So it was Andy Brown did the job actually, and there was a guy that he knew used to do the shells for Ford. So he sent the shell down to him, and he done it at his home place, like his own place at night.
Okay.
And I went in and I got all the suspensions and big square back beams and everything and brakes from Malcolm Olsen from John Steele. Out of there was Kaneko spares from Monte Carlo.
Okay, yes.
And then they would have had about 6 or 7 vans because they had to leapfrog over the mountains because it was open service. So every van was stocked with everything. So I bought all the suspension, springs, arms, front arms, back arms, brakes, everything you could get from John Steele from Malcolm at that time, and that's how the car was built. But the bogey was we couldn't afford the money to put the 7-speed box in her and the big front diff on her.
Oh yes.
And that was the Achilles heel of the car, like
that was the weakness.
Box was 17,000 at that stage. And we were lucky got a box in of Roger and R&D 6-speed box, like in about $7,000, say, like
Right, yes. So it was expensive,
Roger wanted to push this thing at the time, but so we ran with a Group N front diff on that box, and that was the week, like particularly on dry days, like it definitely was a wee Achilles. But the car was big 6-pot calipers, big brakes in the front of it. You could stop, like, but you couldn't.
You couldn't just lean on it.
You couldn't get her out of hairpins. You couldn't really, you had to feather, you had to watch it just like a bit, stuff like that.
Because that all that power going through the deck was going to be thrown, it wasn't it? Yeah.
So we had that car up to 98, like that was 95.
Yeah, like that must have been some area rally, and like you look at it, your Fisher, McHale, Nesbitt, and just to name 3, then never mind all the rest. Like that was glory days, for a certain generation, isn't it?
Oh, it was, and we managed to do the circuit in that car, and we did Killarney in that car, as well as a couple of Donegals in it, like So you know, at that stage we probably could only afford 2 rallies a year, so we picked the circuit because that was the year we got the Yorkie thing and the Wrangler thing, so we got them for the circuit. Because you had TV every night.
Yes.
You had a TV program every night for it. Like,
this was good for the sponsors, yeah.
And then obviously Donegal was our home rally, and I think it was 2 rallies that year, and then maybe we did Killarney, Donegal, something like that, only up till
yes.
78 or 79. Did that car go to them before?
Sorry, 99 then. You
I
won
know.
Group A and Pretzel.
99. I got till about then. 99 then was Kenny's car. Which was like they were the business.
Like, you know, you'd been racing these Subarus for years to finally get your hands on one. Like,
and then we could get one we could hire.
Yes.
So that suited us because we couldn't really afford to buy one.
I didn't think you could buy a car.
I couldn't, you know, and Kenny got a really, it was Freddie Door's car.
Right.
And it came over from Pro Drive, and it was like a super car. And we had first dabs, we got it, and we did Cavan in it. Me and Rory did Cavan actually, as a shakedown with it, and then the famous Donegal.
And like, was it
a really nice car?
Was there a real difference between it and the Escort?
There was surely. Like, I remember going out for a shakedown on it in Brina, and I had Tony Kelly in, like, and you know, and Tony wouldn't be a rally co-driver, but he's been about cars for years, like, and was sat on the main test and stuff like that.
Yes.
And I remember his words after the first run. It's just, when you're wasting your time in all the car. I was just like, no grey area. Just
no thinking about it. They were great cars.
Yes. They were like people used to ask you about them, what were they like? Says it's like the ad for the run seal on the TV. It does exactly what it says in the tin.
Right, yes.
It did everything. Lovely driving position, stopped, handbraked, turned in, did everything. Caused you no grief.
Yes.
Drive it whatever way you wanted to drive it, like a Mark II Escort if you wanted. It really was, Anyway, slided about, but it just was, and full of confidence.
Right.
You know, it was just comfortable, and you can see, like, and when you watch some of those stuff that Colin and Saints used to be at on them, like, you can understand.
Yeah. Even that in-car, there's not in-car there of you, I think, isn't it, over Brina? And like, it is just
that's after the Hamlin got up on the first stage.
Obviously the blood was
we
up.
never make it easy.
No, but the blood was obviously up. But like, to watch that in-car, it's phenomenal, isn't it? Like,
well, we dropped in. We got a bunch in the first stage, so we dropped 30, 40 seconds. I know what we dropped, something like that. Like, so.
Yes.
It was only Friday, so what else could you do? Like, but just
go flat out.
Get the balls up on the dash and go and see what you could do, like, and see how the whole thing panned out, like, and you still had to hope for other things to go wrong, like, but you know, so we did it.
But wasn't it a crazy rally?
But he went off on that same stage. The puncher was there. He went off and he lost. I know.
He just slid into the ditch, wasn't it? He just
slid in the ditch and got stuck down.
For 2 minutes or 3 minutes or something. Yeah. It was the rally that nobody really wanted to lead. And Fisher
we got a really good seating again, but it was my fault now. It was a stage we'd never done before, and very fast section. I was catching. I could see Eamon in front of me, Eamon Boland.
Right.
I was up this flat right-hander, and of course, when you're in the wreck here, very fast, really fast place, but you had to be, you're always on the left-hand side of the road because you couldn't, we crest in it, just enough to hide it. I'm sure I looked up, saw him, and then copped myself on, but at that stage it was in, and it's tucked in nice and just a wee bit too tight, and there was a stone at the edge. It's like I can, if you see the in-car camera, you can actually see the bloody thing.
Right.
We never saw it. We never saw it in the recce because you're obviously looking at anybody coming over the crest or whatever. Like, so that was. So that was another great weekend, sure.
That was.
Having done on Saturday, then
it just turned the whole rally on its head, didn't it?
We're all at it, and then Bertie napped he done the same thing. He napped a stone in down that left-hander and found it, where he turned in at the junction, then slid off 2 corners later. Like.
Yeah, that was just a rally.
That was the pace of the rally. Like, that's what we're doing. We couldn't have went anyhow. We're going. That was it. That was proper. That's what proper racing's about. Just on the limit, and that's it. And you have to be lucky that you get away. It doesn't go wrong.
Sometimes it works for you, and sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes it works, and sometimes and that was our weekend. So.
And again, to come away with the one again, like, it was just fantastic again. Like, it was, probably the first one. It's not going. The second one's wasn't going to be as sweet, but it's still a fantastic event to come away with.
No, it's still sweet. One is always sweet.
Sweet.
And one in Donegal. One in Donegal is like, and then, as I say, we made it difficult for ourselves to do it as well again. Like, and no, it was great, and it was great reward for all the people that backed us, and for Kenny and all the things that he did. Like, and no, there's nothing beats winning. There's nothing beats winning. But that was the end of an era then with that car. Then really, like,
that's it. You went back the following year in the same car, but by that stage, Nesbitt had got the world car, and like.
No, so they moved into that P1000, and it was a different generation anyway. Like, it moved on, and sort of was what. 2.5 seconds a mile quicker. No, so that's 25 seconds a stage. So you're wasting time.
And you were probably driving
Donegal that year, and we had a couple of right good goals for about 10 or 12 stages, and I says, well, no point in us doing something stupid now for.
You're not going to get any better than second.
No, we're in front of Frank, and we're beating everybody we could think we could beat, but we're no way. That's the year under all the fastest times. Like, so he just did that to keep his concentration right. Like. Just like a steamroller.
And you were probably driving as well, if not better, than the previous year.
I was driving the wheels of the thing now, to be honest, because we're beating Frank and Gardy, and there were a lot of right good drivers there, good cars.
There too, yeah.
So we definitely were not hanging about. Like, there was no way.
It just shows you just how quick the worm turned, from the Group A car to the World car.
It's just technology, because like Group A car was 95 spec.
Yes.
This was 2000 spec. So you equate it to the same thing today, like.
He had the ultimate car at that time.
And he can drive it.
Oh, absolutely. You can't take it away from the man. Yeah.
Oh, that's so. There's no way you're going to beat somebody that good in the car that good. Like, like, so, you need to be everything to go your way to beat him in any car, and an equal car.
That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah. So I was just
into that era then.
I was just looking over the stats then. So like from 86 to 2000, you started 45 tarmac championship events.
Right, just that's good, but
you
wish I had the money for them. Right?
But like that's even counting your time, and like the Civic and all that.
Right, kind of yeah.
And 23 podiums out of that.
Right,
like that's it's so consistent, isn't it? Like in the Group N car, like that is that speaks volumes. And like very few retirements. A couple of times maybe transmission problems, things like that. As we discussed earlier with the Group A car. And I think only maybe 2 accidents really that whole time. Like you were fast.
But a few now, but I can't remember. With a few skirmishes, but we didn't go into too many rallies as an accident, did we?
No, that's what I say. Like there was wee scrapes and things, but nothing major. Like that speaks volumes for the talent you obviously had too. That you were not only fast but very consistent with it as well too. So.
And then like from our point of view, and myself and Alan went through this different times. George and Joe, like we were competing against the best of the time, and that's what we were about really, and that's what makes it good. Same in ice, whatever sport you're in, if you play at whatever level you can, and you're competing against the best that there is around you, then
if you're Man United, you want to be playing Man City or whatever. You don't want to be playing.
You're playing for Donegal, you're playing for Dublin or whatever the story is. Like if you're doing it at that level, and every now and again you get a better reward, it's even better.
Yes. We've mentioned Ellen a few times. Like, what did she bring to James Cullen, the rally driver?
Well, she came from a works background. Like she had been with Louise most of her life through Peugeot and Vauxhall and then Nissan and all that sort of thing. Like that person and our personality, I think, was huge. Great person to get on with. Great on notes, great dictation. Our timing and all was excellent. Like it was just natural. Just natural co-driver. She was a great manager in her job, and that transferred to the car.
Okay.
So that meant that. Apart from the money, but once you got into the start of the sage,
all you had to do was
started the rally. Like you just concentrated on what you had to do. Everything else was taken care of. Kept you out of getting involved in things you shouldn't be getting involved in, and just that sort of that influence that the really good co-drivers bring as a partnership. And then it opened. It didn't help. It helped a lot in the UK
Okay.
So obviously we went to Shell and a few places like that in the beginning. It brought a credibility.
Okay. And she was a known name as such.
She was, yeah, and then if she, you know, the fact that she said this is what, this guy's fairly good. He knows what he's doing. He's in control of the car, blah, blah, blah. And I think that helped open the door into Shell and a few places like that. Like, 'cause, you know, that definitely didn't do any harm in a way, like, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking, and like I say, unfortunately, Ellen passed away then in 2006, you know. So, but you took a step back from the sport too in the early 2000s. You come back then in the mid noughties and Group N the Evos. Was it good to get back behind the wheel of a car? Had you missed it?
Of course it is. Of course you must have. Like anybody tells you any difference, telling you lies. Of course you must have.
Yes.
Like the Nesbitt era arrived, the World Cars arrived.
Yes.
It was way beyond any way we could think of finding. And then I was offered another opportunity. I was asked to be a guy then through Chris Patterson to go and do gravel notes in the World Championship and different rallies for a guy called Yanni Papadermitio. But his main rally was Greece, and of course clashed with Donegal.
Right.
But like I couldn't see myself doing Donegal in a competitive car anyway.
Yes.
So it took us because we were to go to Argentina, we were to do all these things like so. Jumped on that, and for the next 8 years, I went around the world doing gravel notes for them and different other people. And so I've been doing them for Pujo and for Vauxhall and people before that, like, you know. So through the time when like I was offered to drive from Des back in the 90s as well to drive the Peugeot.
Oh, at Deserdale, right? Yes.
At Deserdale, I came to Donegal and he watched, and I remember telling Ellen what I saw. And I backed her up. I know it was the bottom of Knockall after where Austin went off. We come down to the football field very, very fast, and we used to turn on right. And I says, "Your man came down way deeper," and he says, "This is just not on." Got the whole thing sewed up, dab the handbrake and away. He says, "That's just backed up what you were saying." So, long story short, I was offered the drive, and Brian Patterson always wasn't knew about it because he rang me one night about it, and I couldn't say much at that stage. But anyway, the bottom line was it went to the PR people and they said, no, they don't want an Irish guy driving their car in the UK.
Right.
I'll stop.
Right.
So that was Des put in his box.
Oh.
So then, can't remember, we were still in the pink car in 91. And then we moved into the Group N car or whatever the story was like. But that's that. But that thing in 2000 was the last, you know, that tied in with the offer of going and seeing the world and being involved in that side of the thing, as well as really we couldn't see a way of getting a car anyway.
No, that's going to take crazy money then for a weekend.
And then we ended up doing 00 in the circuit or something for Reba's birthday.
Okay.
We hired a car, Terry Harriman or something like that. But long story short, anyway, I ended up bought a Group N car, then Evo 6 of I was chatting to Gary Jennings one night in my Donegal and says, what would they be like? It's a grand job, go up there. He said, I want someone for a bit of crack. We want to go out and do a couple of wee rallies again. Someone that's not too dear and keeps you out of the way.
Yeah.
So we bought a 6 of Kieran, and then we end up getting an 8, and we end up getting a 9, and we done the right block of rallies up to 07. You know, so, and then we stopped. That was the final encounter. Then apart from.
Right, so we'll look at that then. 2016. You had Aidan Carey, Stephen Sheridan, a few other guys around Letterkenny there. You know.
It was a good guy. All great friends of mine down the years. Like
a lovely thing they've done for you.
From the Danny Carey era, and Stevens, a gentleman, like, and fantastic worker from rallying. Martin Doherty, a good friend of mine, and I've been doing a bit of gravel notes for Martin and stuff. That got me back out again. Actually, you know, I'd stopped. I had been away altogether from a number of years. Hadn't done anything. Wasn't near an Irish rally.
Yes.
And Martin got me convinced to go with him a couple of times. So started to enjoy the whole thing again. And of course, the boys pulled this thing out of the bag in 2016. Like. And I treasure that, like, because that's from your friends. And they put a huge amount of work in it. They got a great response. And it's just lovely to be thought about. Somebody thinks enough of you to go and do something like that for you.
I think if you'd have stopped that weekend, yeah, I think if you'd have stopped that weekend, nearly the people at Donegal would lift you and carry you round. There was such goodwill, wasn't there?
Aye, it was such and one of the things I got out of it, it's amazing. It was like a down memory lane for me, obviously. But the number of people who came up to me during the rally before and afterwards, and it was their memory lane as well.
Yes.
Because they were come up and talking about, do you remember Donegal and such a thing? Do you remember you spun down in such and such a place and we were there and I was in the carway and I remember the circuit and we followed the circuit and we followed this when we were in Killarney and, you know.
Yes.
And these people all turned up in Donegal to come up and shake your hand again.
Yes.
And so that's, you know, there's some way to go out.
Absolutely, you know. And like, was it an enjoyable experience? Like, you know, that Friday morning, getting, you know, pulling on the rally set again.
Okay.
Were you nervous or were you excited? Or
I was very good actually, and had enough sense to go this time and just take it all on.
Right.
Because there was no pressure. Didn't matter what we did. The main thing was to keep the car going. All your mates were, every time you came into service, the caravan was full, the van was full of people who were having the crack. And you're able to take in all the good things around rallying as a hobby.
Yes.
And that makes you feel good about rallying, the atmosphere, the fact you can actually drive a rally car on a closed stage.
Yes.
Again, doesn't matter what speed you're doing.
No.
You're just doing what you can do. You're just you're reliving the whole thing. And meeting the people and taking on lots of things like that you didn't really take when the pressure was on. You were there to do a job. You were there to go.
You were in the moment. You weren't enjoying it or not enjoying it.
The car would have scared the life out of me. That's the thing.
Because these new escorts
apart from that, it was grand.
Them new escorts now are crazy.
They're phenomenal pieces of kit. Like they really are. Like, you know.
But I would be friendly there with GpN Conley, the dent man. You know, co-drove you that weekend. And he's telling me that he's going down into Knockalla for the second pass over it. You know, and yeah, you were sitting maybe about 5 or 6 cars just before it started, and you just turned to him and says, "This is probably my last chance to get a good burst over this," you know. And he said it was just such a special moment, you know. So.
And Knockalla is Knockalla. When you think down the years that when you sat down waiting to go up to that start line and that iconic piece of road, like it really up to you get up to Glenbar, that fast bit of Knockalla is just it's something else about the speed, the lines, everything goes with it. Like and to get to, you know, and it doesn't matter what you drive. And you get older, it gets worse. There's nothing like being. You have to be on a stage.
Right.
You know, you can't get up the road's not the same thing. You never.
Don't get the same.
You wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. I wouldn't even. Wouldn't even be bothered doing it now. Like, you know, even going for a test where there's a closed road, like, you know, it's grand.
Yes.
But actually to do the whole thing, helmets, countdown. Proper closed road.
Watching you, yes.
Spectators, everything. You know, when you're heading in whatever, I've been close to 60 then or whatever, you know, to go and do it then. You know, after 30 something years, whatever it is, like, I don't know, but no, that's a special memory.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you could go back in time and, you know, say that, you know, to the young James Cullen in 79 or whatever, here's one piece of advice I would offer you. What would that be?
There's lots of things you would do different, of course, like, you know, but I think at the time probably one of the things was like to do COC was at the timing of it was wrong for me.
Right.
I should have been concentrating when the car would have been more competitive.
Right.
Concentrating on what you're doing. But at the same time, a COC, it give you a different insight into it. It give you an insight into what other people put into our sport.
Okay.
Give you an insight into some of the other not so nice stuff, but it was not. I met some great friends out of it. Now, you could have, I probably would have been friends with a lot of them through, I've had a stayed rallying for years anyway as a driver.
Okay.
But I think that, you know, if you're a driver and you're competitive, it kind of clouds everything.
Right. Yes.
You know, but that experience and that of seeing the other side of it definitely stands by you too. Like,
of course it does, yeah. But that was probably the right thing at the wrong time.
Yeah. It gives you a real indication of what competitors take for granted a lot of times, as the amount of people and what certain people, what the time and effort they put in. Like, you know, and it's all for nothing. It's all for our. For the competitors' benefit, like, you know, but if you're analysing it as a career or not, you know, it was the wrong time to do that. Yes. I would have been better doing that then and coming back 20 years later.
And doing your COC then.
And doing your COC, but then, like, you know, but I must get into a world car, like, you know, into those super, like, I've sat in a number of them, I've been testing on them.
Yes.
With guys and sitting on, but I never got the opportunity to drive one. So you'd love to have been about in that era from 2000 through while you were still capable of going quick. You know,
yes, and you're at your peak.
Before you get too old and too slow, like to make a difference.
And what's the one car that you look back on and say that was as good as it got? You know,
there only is one car. There's the first car ever you had, I suppose.
Yes.
But to step onto a full house BDA,
right?
That's everything that a rally car is supposed to be, and it has brought generations of people into rallying, and still is.
Yes, to this day.
To this day, the Subaru runs at a close second. But, even to hear, like, we used to go out in John Boyle's garage nights and we're down for the chat and the crack, and we used to just start the car to hear it going. Well, that's what we were like.
Yes, petrol heads. You were petrol heads.
First and foremost, like, you know, and we actually had one.
Yes. That was like this is yours.
And you would walk around and we'd down and we'd spend down that old coil garage and we'd be found there nights chatting about rallying and stuff like that. Like, you know, but no, that car drive was everything that was good about rally cars.
And it won the Donegal Rally the previous year.
And it had won the Donegal Rally. Just I would like that. I won a good few rallies, and I won 8 or 9 or 10 rallies, but I never won any big. You know, Sligo was a big one. We won. Used to be get rallies then. Single stages to call them, like, you know.
Oh yes.
I'm sure there was fantastic rivalry up here with Boner and James McRae and John Connors. And there were like there'd be ones in Mulford and there'd be ones in Ballina, but you see the ones up here. Like, remember we went down Cairnhill, part of the stage, and it's Grand Prix.
Because every one of you knew the road so well.
It was just a Grand Prix for us, and it was a talk of Donegal Rally and voices for
weeks before it, after.
Months before it, like, it was just, and you got a practice run and then on the stage 3 times.
Right.
Which we didn't need no practice run.
No. You had a fair idea where you're going.
You couldn't know your way around Cairnhill and down around there.
Yes. You maybe could hope that way for the week before it as well.
No, sir, there are lots of great memories, like, and I actually forgot there. I actually sat on with James a few times and went on to on those early days and went on into
compete against
him. I compete against him and and like probably to know a fantastic character.
He didn't. Everybody speaks so highly of James.
Fantastic character, like, and rallying was full of so many of them, and it was great to be part of that era.
Yes,
and those people.
You know, no matter what age you are, or what, like that era of Irish rallying will stand up to any other era. I know, yes, we're going through a golden era at the minute. We know these R5s, they've changed the complexion of the sport again, and the competitive rallying and all that too. But that 90s into the 2000s was just something else, wasn't it?
It was our era. It was different, and we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It gave us lots of good days. Lots of bad days.
But the good
I used to say that we said to one time, he says, remember the good days because they're scarce enough in rallying.
his breakthrough words.
Aye. It's about how come the bills come the following week. So, but anyway, that's
yes, even the good days, the bills still come.
Aye, but the really bad days can be down now. But that hasn't changed.
No.
You know, even the best, like if you want to win something badly enough and you put so much into it, and current drivers are all the same. Like that's what they want to win, and there's owners and there's people who do. You know, there's plenty of bad days and sad stories and ups onlys, and that's the sport. But that's what makes the sport, isn't it? Like,
that's the one. That is the one. And like, you know, you were so lucky. You had some very loyal sponsors throughout the years. I'm thinking of the likes of Tony Kelly, we had mentioned there, Four Lanterns. You know, your brother George, like that. You know, them guys all made such a difference. You know, Drifter Shoes, another one there.
Aye, and then Vincey Whelan and Kevin came on board, like, and was there for years and years. Like, Tony was obviously the first one, and
he was still in your last.
He started his own business in '81, and so that's the year he came on board with the rally car, like, you know.
Yes.
A couple of years in that, then Frank came on board with the Four Lanterns, and so he was there till he passed away or till he stopped, like, you know. Vincey Whelan come on somewhere and around that era, and was there for 10 or 12 years or something like that, you know, of that era. And those three were the three. And then when Shell UK were going strong, like when David Thomas was in charge, there was that was the four boys, and that was the foundations in, and off we went. If we could build on that, then we were going.
You had a good platform to go from there.
You had the platform to go up to, you know, up to a certain level. Like, but it's just when it got beyond, you know, it got beyond the money that local business could sustain.
Yes.
To put into international rallying. Like,
you're going up corporate then, weren't you? You know,
you're going up against bigger players, bigger everything like that, and the guys were still. They're only local businesses, like, at the end of the day, but that loyalty, like, and it wasn't just me. They supported lots of other events in rallying and other sporting events and all that sort of thing. Like, they were just great people to be around. That loyalty and that whole we're all in it together type of thing, like, you know. And they all got the buzz out of the good days, and
they get the lift of the high. They get the highs of the high too.
They got the highs and the lows and all that sort of thing too. Like, so no, that was it was a good time. I have to say.
Well, James, I'd like to just say, you know, like, it's been an absolute pleasure to have this chat with you again this evening. Like, you know, always say never meet your heroes, but like, I've met you now a few times. Every time I come away, it just brings it home to me why I love rallying so much. You know, it's just the passion, this, you know, the enthusiasm. It's all there, isn't it? And that's just, you know, that's what it's, to me, what it's all about, isn't it? It's just the fun and the competitiveness of it, obviously, too, you know. So, but it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you for your kind remarks, and I hope I just didn't dried on it and bore too many people.
Oh God, no!
But as you say, the passion's there, like, and you know, that's what it doesn't matter, rich, poor, quick, slow, not so quite, and for the crack, whatever. Like, the people who put on the show, from the organisers, people, and the people who drive down the stages and risk it all to put on the show. Passion is a very good word.
I can see that,
and we're all that, like, that's, you know.
Yeah, and as I say, I can see that sparkle in the eye. Like, I think if somebody come along and give you an escort for a rally that was on next week, you'd be jumping into her again, you know. So.
Of course you would. Now, you might get a wild wake up call, like. Somebody said to me the last day, says, "How under Jesus would you ever get into one of them? Never mind get out of one of them again." I was down looking at, I think it was Kyle McGettigan's escort to the house there, and that's just an absolute picture. Like, but how would you get in? I said, how would you get out of it?
You know, you get in somewhere.
Maybe the historic ones there with a lower cage on them and stuff like that. Maybe you could see.
So, James, as I say, thank you very much and take care, and we'll chat to you soon.
Pleasure. God bless.
That was James Cullen and myself, Kevin Glendenning, talking rally. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast. And can you please like and share it across all social media platforms? And if you're listening to Apple Podcasts, can you please rate the broadcast? It would be greatly appreciated. Until the next time, take care and speak soon. Bye-bye.